morning, all of you. The topic we are going to discuss now is SN1 substitution. In the last class, we had a discussion on SN2 substitution. Substitution, nucleophilic bimolecular reaction. We have seen and we have discussed all the details of SN2 substitution. And now the topic is SN1 substitution or SN1 substitution. Where S stands for substitution, N stands for nucleophilic, and 1 stands for unimolecular. Therefore, this reaction is substitution, nucleophilic, unimolecular reaction. The one here implies unimolecular nature of this particular reaction, because in this reaction only one molecule is getting involved throughout the reaction. Therefore, this reaction is unimolecular reaction. Unimolecular reaction. Of course, the second molecule is there, that is purely solvent here. Therefore, this is substitution, nucleophilic, unimolecular. The reason is why it is unimolecular. When you look at the rate equation of this SN2 substitution, you will come to know that rate is purely depends on the concentration of the substrate alone, because this SN1 substitution takes place in two different steps, unlike your SN2, where you can see the reaction is a single step reaction. That is, the leaving group, the entering group attacks the substrate from the back of the substrate, from the back side of the substrate, converting the entire molecule into that pushes the entire target molecule, that is the reactant, to go into the inverted state, and as a result you get the inverted configuration. In the case of SN2 substitution, the entire process takes place in a single step. In the case of your SN2 substitution, now the case is different, the reaction is different. SN1 substitution, this particular substitution, that is SN1, takes place in two different steps. Step number 1, as usual in this particular reaction, step number 1 is a slow step in which the ionization of the substrate takes place, and as a result you will get a new planar carbonium ion. See here, Rx will be converted into R plus X, and in the step number 2, R plus will be attacked by Y, that is your incoming group, that is your nucleophile in a fastest reaction, and R plus will be converted into Ry, that is product. This is a slow. So step number 1 is a slow step in which ionization of the substrate leads to the formation of planar carbonium ion. This is your planar carbonium ion takes place. Planar carbonium ion takes place in step number 1. This is planar, and as a result of the planar nature of the planar nature of your carbonium ion, what we get in step number 1 in a slow step, otherwise called a rate determining step. Remember, this step, the only step we take into consideration while calculating the rate of this reaction. There is a speed of this particular SN1 substitution reaction. Therefore, this particular first step is otherwise called as a rate determining. This is favorable step, because this particular the ionization of the substrate into the formation of your planar carbonium ion takes place in a slow step, which is very favorable if you want to calculate the speed of this particular reaction. Therefore, this step is otherwise called as rate determining step. So in rate determining step, the substrate will be converted into planar carbonium ion. The planar carbonium ion can be attacked by, in the second step, in a fast step, by your nucleophile from either side, because all the four sides, wherever you look around your planar carbonium ion, you can see the planarity. Therefore, the Y can attack from any side of your planar carbonium ion, that will be converted into RY. That is the final product in step number 2. Let us take the specific example to understand this concept better. Take tertiary butyl bromide. Tertiary butyl bromide. Then when this is attacked by OH minus, you will get OH, no change. This is the final step. In the first step, you will get, you will get C plus CH3, CH3. This is planar carbonium ion. Planar carbonium ion. Plus Br minus takes place in first term, that is in step number 1. In the specific example, what we have taken is tertiary butyl bromide. Tertiary butyl bromide undergo ionization in the first step, that is in a slow step. Ionization takes place, and a result, this will give you the planar carbonium ion. Since this is planar, the OH minus, the Y or OH minus can attack this planar carbonium ion, this side, or this side. All the three sides, all the place where we have the possibility of attack by the incoming is there. All the sides are planar, therefore the incoming group, the attacking agent, the nucleophile can attack from either side of the planar carbonium ion, and that will be converted into like this. Step number 2, C plus CH3, CH3, CH3. Say for example OH minus. This can attack the planar carbonium ion any side, and as a result you will get this. CH3, 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 OH. This is your product. In a first step, the combination of the nucleophile with the planar carbonium ion takes place in a fast step. This you cannot consider, this particular step, the second step you cannot consider in calculating the rate of this reaction or speed of this reaction, because this is a fast step. Therefore, we are not taken into consideration the second step in calculating the rate of this reaction. Therefore, the rate law involves just the concentration of the substrate alone. Rate therefore is equal to K concentration of Rx alone in SN1. Whereas in the case of SN2, concentration of substrate plus concentration of Y minus also we have taken into consideration. Whereas in calculating the rate law, the rate of this SN1 substitution is concerned, we never take into consideration the second step, because that step takes place in a fast manner. Therefore, the rate law is equal to K, where K is a constant multiplied by concentration. That is the rate constant multiplied by concentration of the substrate alone. Substrate alone. So, I hope you understand what is SN1. How many steps involved in SN1 substitution? This is not like very SN2. SN2 takes place in a single step. SN1 takes place in two different steps. Number one is ionization of the substrate, leads to the formation of your planar carbonium ion. Number two is the attack by the nucleophile into your planar carbonium ion from either side. As a result, you will get the product, not like your written inverted product that what you get in the case of your SN2 substitution. Here that is not possible because the backside is almost negligible. The backside attack by the nucleophile is almost negligible, and this you can understand simply by considering the next example. Say for example, as far as the SN2 is concerned, SN2 substitution, remember I am going to discuss the differences between SN1 and SN2. As far as the SN1 is concerned, we know that this particular reaction takes place in two different steps, in which the first step is the rate determining step and the second step is a fast step, in which the nucleophile attacks with the planar carbonium ion leads to the formation of the product. SN2 substitution is a single step process. SN1 is unimolecular natured. SN2 is bimolecular natured. Of course, in SN2 we have that is a pseudo unimolecular reaction is possible, wherein the solvent molecule, that is nucleophile, is in the form of solvent, because the solvent concentration is excess. Therefore, we simply neglect in calculating while calculating the rate of the reaction. Therefore, in that particular case in which the nucleophile is in the form of solvent, that particular reaction is called a pseudo unimolecular reaction. Pseudo unimolecular, though the reaction involves, that is require two different molecules, nucleophile, though the nucleophile in the form of your solvent, that is irrespective, that is immaterial, two different molecules are required. Therefore, that should be comes under your bimolecular reaction. And because of the excess of concentration of the solvent, excess of concentration of nucleophile in the form of solvent, we are not considering that particular thing. Therefore, that reaction is called, though it is bimolecular, kinetically that particular reaction will be called as a pseudo unimolecular reaction. And the next thing is, rate depends on the structure of halide in the case of your SN1. Both in the case of SN1 and SN2, the rate of the reaction depends on the structure of alkyl halide. Say for example, take the case of SN1, take the case of SN2. You know that the first step is SN1 unimolecular, you know very well, and this is bimolecular. Number two, two-step process. This is one-step process. Number three, rate depends on structure of alkyl halide. Here also rate depends on the structure of alkyl halide. Say for example, SN1 reaction is favorable. Tertiary halide more favorable compared to secondary alkyl halide, compared to primary alkyl halide, compared to your simply methyl halide. Whereas SN2 methyl halide is more compared to your the next one, that is your primary, followed by your secondary, and this is followed by your tertiary alkyl halide. Tertiary alkyl halide, say for example, the example as we have discussed, tertiary butyl bromide. This structure is more favorable to have the SN2 to follow the path of SN1 mechanism. Whereas this particular structure is more favorable in following the SN2 path. Carbon is connected to 3 hydrogen. See here, there are 3 hydrogen. We know that the size of hydrogen is small, very small. Therefore, we have plenty of spaces are there between this hydrogen and this hydrogen, this hydrogen. Therefore, the nucleophile can feel very easy to attack the substrate from the back. From the back, as a result, this will be converted into inverted product. This is one reason. Now come here. Now come to the next one, the previous one, SN1. In the case of SN1, tertiary butyl bromide is favorable. This is the one that follows the SN1 path because, remember, in this particular case, we are not getting the inverted product like what we get in the case of your SN2. In the SN2, the nucleophile attacks the substrate from the back. This also we can expect the backside attack. Why not? The reason is, I am going to explain why not the nucleophile attack the substrate from the back in the case of SN1. The reason is, the methyl group is somewhat bulkier. Size-wise, this is bulky when compared to the hydrogen. The bulky nature of the methyl group, there are 3 methyl groups in the case of tertiary butyl bromide, will not allow your Y minus, that is the incoming group, that is a nucleophile, to attack the substrate from back, because the bulky natured 3 methyl group are there is no space to enter smoothly in between the methyl group so that it will attack the carbon of your tertiary butyl bromide from the back. This is the reason why the tertiary butyl bromide is favoring tertiary alkyl halide is favoring SN1. Why simply the alkyl halide methyl halide is favoring SN2. So SN2 is possible in the case of methyl halide, smoothly takes place. SN1 is possible in the case of tertiary butyl bromide, that is tertiary alkyl halide favors SN1 and SN2 is favored by your methyl halide. And SN1 is very much favored by polar solvents. The next point, polar solvent leads a major role in carrying out this particular SN1 substitution, whereas a non-polar solvent plays vital role in carrying out your SN2 substitution. These are the 4 important points we have as far as the differences between SN1 and SN2 is concerned. Non-polar favoring SN2 substitution, polar solvents favoring SN1 substitution. First point is, this is unimolecular, that one is bimolecular. This is 2-step process, that is 1-step process. Rate depends on the structure of alkyl halide. Tertiary halide, alkyl halide is more favorable. Secondary, primary and methyl halide. Whereas exactly reverse in the case of your SN2 substitution. Polar solvent favors your SN1, that is takes place smoothly via the SN1 mechanism if the solvent is polar, and if the solvent on the other hand is non-polar, smoothly takes place, carry out. You can have the SN2 substitution smoothly if the non-polar solvent is there. So non-polar solvent, methyl halide very much favoring your SN2 substitution. Polar solvent, tertiary butyl, that is a tertiary alkyl halide, is very much favoring SN1 substitution. This is what I want to discuss in this particular class. Remember, in this class we have discussed what is SN1 substitution, what are the different steps involved in SN1 substitution, differences between SN1 and SN2 substitution. Remember, what we are discussing, what I am discussing is more than enough as far as the undergraduate level is concerned. For the PG level, of course, the subject we have to go in detail. With this, I am concluding the discussion on SN1 substitution and the differences between SN1 and SN2 substitution. Thank you.